After I retired I was 68 years old when I retired, and I didn't want to let go, because I like to do this kind of work. So they advertised for a tool maker here. I came in here and started working.
It's pretty cool.
There it is. It's sewed in.
Okay.
It's sewed in, and what this does, the ballot, they hang it up someplace.
Okay.
That's what this does. I looked at one seat. I couldn't even see that. I had to feel it how it is, and made it about there. Made me a drawing, and anything you do, you have to make a sketch, and then reconcile it with so it fits. Well, in a way, I'm proud. I can do this. It's a pleasure because I'm here 20 years. It helps me to keep up my skill and my knowledge of mathematics. See, I learned my trade in Austria, in Vienna. And there we had to go through an apprenticeship. And we had to learn everything, heat reading and everything, which has to do with,
So it translates well to aircraft, right?
To tool making is required in any production, in any automobile or aircraft. It doesn't make any difference.
Did you ever see planes fly overhead when you were?
Yes, I did.
What was that like to see some of the war go on?
Well, you accept it. I mean, we heard, let's say the radio would announce enemy aircraft are approaching over Steiermark and Kärnten. Then we knew they would come over our village. And
What was the name of your village? Do you remember?
Friedberg. But we were on the slope of a mountain, and the aircrafts did not fly over the mountains because the weather was different. So they flew right over our village, So we could look up and count them, And
So you could see like bombers,
Yeah.
allies, enemy. I mean, do you see any air battles or anything like that? Or?
no, the air battles I did not see because by the time this was 1943, they came. There was one air base about 35 miles north of us, and they attacked the air base. And they attacked it for months and months till it was gone. No more fighters, no more. Well, the sound, it was a particular sound, and you heard it before you could see them. You heard that sound. And the air was vibrating,
That's amazing.
But later, when the fighter planes were escorting the bombers, all of a sudden, one fighter plane sped up, you heard the motor, and he came down like this. And I said to my mother, to the wall and down, because I thought he would shoot at us, But he shot a little bit further away. There was a train, and he shot the train. I was 16 years old when the Russians came, but the Germans fled. They didn't even shoot, My family, we were 6 children. There's 2 left now. The parents are, of course, gone. And 4 of my siblings, they were gone. My father was an old social democrat. So they organized, by that time they organized already in secret, and they knew the Russians will be overrunning us any day. So I did not know it, Our area was supposed to be occupied by the Russians to begin with. So I saw the Americans then later in Vienna, but because Vienna was divided just like Berlin in 4 parts. There were Americans, British, French, and Russians. It was hard to begin with, to cross from one area, from a Russian occupation zone into the English occupation zone. And if they caught you, they incarcerated you. Well, if I look at this plane, it's a tremendous machine. Yeah, and the way it is armed. So the German fighters didn't have much chance. A lot of times I did not go into a shelter. I just wanted to see how the planes, As a young kid, you're nosy. So I wanted to see the planes, and I saw the bombs coming down. But I was not afraid because I thought, if it hits me, I don't feel it anyway. What I want to say is, basically, I became anti-war, very much anti-war. Because when the Russian army approached, and the Germans they blew up the bridges, the tunnels. So for years, and we had no transportation. Whatever was not destroyed by the Germans, the Russians destroyed. Back home, in my village, in my little town, there was not a fight, but the Russians fired in with artillery anyway, to chase the Germans out. But and I didn't know this, but the night before, the Germans blew the railroad bridges, the tunnels. I didn't even notice this. Once the Russians were there was nothing. You couldn't buy anything. The stores were destroyed. And money, you couldn't buy anything. There was nothing to buy. So we had to try to survive. Yes, I left Austria in 1954, but I went to Canada. And from Canada, I was 6 years in Canada, then I came to Dayton, because Dayton was the town for tool makers. And then there was the Vietnam War. There was so much work that had to be done for the military. I married, and I could not find a place to live in Vienna, because at that time the houses, they were still destroyed. Nothing was really being built up yet. So any dwelling was given to families with children. And I was just married, so I decided, well, I go. I came in here as a volunteer, and I do anything they I use my skill and my knowledge of doing things. Well, people don't really see what you do. You know, they don't know what the volunteers do unless they come in here.